So thank you so much. So the topic is the future of the intelligent partnerships. If you look back, if it was like 2 years back, everyone was just talking about the partnerships. But as the technology is evolving, the disruption is taking place, everyone is focused on the intelligent partnerships and how it can create a value on the innovation, on the impact, the business outcome. And that's what we are going to discuss about that. And Heather, we'll start with you. We're looking at a lot of co-innovation, and the future of co-innovation across the ecosystem is resulting into the demands of the customers. What are some interesting partnership trends that you're observing today in the ecosystem?
Great question. And honestly, it's hard to think of things that have not been said already because there's a lot of things that touch on data and AI. But where I'll talk about what I saw kind of when we started really diving into Gen AI at Databricks. And it was really centered around where there was scarcity of resources, in particular, scarcity of understanding around how to build models yourself. Databricks acquired a company called Mosaic ML. Last year. It was a big splashy acquisition. And really what we got with that was the ability to help companies build their own models. We embrace all models like the other hyperscalers here in the room, but really helping customers determine if building a model for themselves was the right thing to do, first and foremost. And then if they wanted to do it, we could co-innovate together. Really bringing knowledge, because part of the acquisition was we acquired a research group. And that research group is really designed, one, to help build models. They released DBRX, but also to help our customers build their own models and do it as cost efficiently as possible. So customers became partners, companies like AI2 and Chan Zuckerberg, where they're building models to help further health outcomes. But also they're tapping into the knowledge that we had helping companies build many of their own models. And we were able to share best practices and help find efficiencies and ultimately help really drive down the cost of building your own model, where it may have been, considered to take tens of millions of dollars. It then came down to millions of dollars, down to hundreds of thousands of dollars, which you may think is an antithesis to what we may want to see, but that just means that people can have better models targeting their use cases, and it really stimulates a lot of innovation in the marketplace. Along those same lines, maybe not so much now, but at the time there was a huge scarcity of GPUs. And so we set aside GPUs to work with our SI partners to help companies that wanted to build their own models. And so that's kind of in a nutshell how we kind of morphed that idea of who's a customer, who's a partner, what's scarce, and how can we help bring those scarce resources to the forefront for innovation.
Sure. But you're taking that, and Ksenia, coming to you, in this entire journey, it starts from the co-innovation. At the end, everyone wants to create that hyper-personalized experience for the end customer, and with the help of the intelligent partnerships. But in this journey, we see there are a lot of challenges, the pitfalls that we experience. You want to highlight some of the challenges that the organizations are facing when they create the hyper-personalized experience, and how it can be addressed by looking at these intelligent partnerships.
Sure, thank you. I think one of the main issue actually with the hyper-personalization is that it's not personalized enough. We all come across repetitive messaging that is not relevant to us. And that goes not only to us as consumers using LinkedIn or websites and then seeing the trail of the advertisement across the platforms. It goes to our partners and how they're getting messages about our products. How often do we go to the sales pitches and see the same cookie cutter that doesn't relate to people and the eyes glaze over? So we feel that obviously Gen AI breaks that barrier. We feel that now with customers that we work around marketing, like this is the first signal that we're seeing that marketing CMOs are starting to massively adopt Gen AI to do this personalization with already built-in, cross-platform digital targeting of users. We already have a lot of data stored in, the Databricks type of systems, or BigQuery, or across, cloud platforms. But now we have intelligence that can really deliver that message that is relevant to people and make it, what's the most important thing, in the voice of a client. So, for example, one of the big use cases that OpenAI has is the Coca-Cola use case, where basically it's a global company, and they were trying to scale how they use how they roll out the advertising campaigns across the globe. But the main thing was for them in their images to basically not have a can of Pepsi somewhere generated by Sora. So we work with them to, make sure that the model works well. But now they are absolutely confident that there's no hallucinations, and that anything that they market, they can personalize in Thailand and anywhere in the world, across the globe, in local languages, and do it within days instead of months.
Wow, that's interesting. And Rajat, coming to you, like in this data-centric ecosystem and looking at the different partnerships, there's a lot of data sharing taking place. How it is being leveraged so that we can deliver the end outcome for the customers, and how are there any challenges in that data-centric ecosystem at the present?
Sure. Well, first of all, thank you for having me here. And just by way of introduction, my name is Rajat Sinha. I've been in data for like 13 odd years. And fun fact about me, I live in the desert, but I'm an avid scuba diver. So that's how I live my life. And so the company I work for is Alation. And Alation is an engine or platform that powers trusted AI. So we're the platform that drives trusted AI. And to your point, to give you an example of how do different partnerships come together for data sharing. So here's an example of a bank in the Midwest where we had a large data cloud provider, like Databricks, where was the landing area for all the data. And then you had data quality providers that were also crawling the data, but it was all built on an Alation platform that was stitching all of that together with an SI. And then at the end of it, onboarding of customers were through ServiceNow. Now, all of this was coming together to help end customers actually find, understand, trust their data, and then say, these are the governance principles we need to apply to it. So that's an example of what we're seeing. In terms of challenges that we see, it's about like, hey, how do we get the better technology and connectors together of getting people talking to each other? That's the bigger challenge that we see in terms of creating a seamless, frictionless end user experience. Hopefully that helps. Yeah.
Great. And Roisin, if I come to you, SAP is also known for the partner world. And in this, there are some unique strategies that you're planning or adopting in terms of evaluating the partner fit that fits into what you're trying to solve for the customers. So how you're looking at the partner evaluation criteria? What are the different non-traditional approaches that you're taking to do that aspect?
Yeah, so Roisin Monaghan here from Global Partner Marketing at SAP. And I think we have something like 23,000 partners in our ecosystem at this point, and it's always a question of how do we evaluate them to find the best ones and which ones are kind of the emerging partners that we most want to work with. And I think we've always been fairly probably more one-dimensional in how we actually measure partners as a fit. It's been around revenue, it's been around pipeline, partner-sourced opportunities, certifications, competencies. And I think we're going to have to, in upcoming years, and especially with how AI is going to change everything, we're going to have to get much more multi-dimensional. We're going to have to look at things like culture fit. You know, at SAP, when we talk about AI, we talk about relevance, reliability, and responsibility. So what companies will we choose to partner with that will also have those same kind of cultural values as it relates to adoption, you know, bringing out AI solutions and those kind of things. I think the other thing that's going to change as well is we're going to have to start measuring partners on customer satisfaction. What is the business outcome that these partners are driving for our customers, and how satisfied are our customers with those innovations and those elements that partners are bringing to the table? So those are definitely kind of the top 2 to 3 things. And I think, you know, we have to try and look at our partner criteria as well to also say kind of what's going to be most important from an industry perspective or from a geo perspective, and which are the partners that are going to be willing to come on that co-innovation journey with us. Co-innovation, co-sell. Those are, I think, are more of the multi-dimensional criteria that we're going to have to start looking at measuring partners more closely on in the future.
Sure. And in this journey, as you highlighted, there's some 23,000 partners that you highlighted. Still, the plan is to evaluate within that ecosystem or going beyond and looking for the new set of the partners also?
Definitely looking at the new set of partners. I mean, we've set up a new AI division within SAP that is, you know, reports directly into the CEO, and they are looking at all of the large language models. They're looking at what partners they want to bring in, not just as part of the ecosystem, but also how do we develop products with those language models, et cetera, embedded into them, and how do we kind of bring in more partners that are around the co-innovation pieces and the data and analytics and all of those kind of things, as well as working very closely with all of the hyperscalers, because all of the hyperscalers love SAP because we have very high consumption and workloads because we're very complex business processes. So absolutely, there's going to be kind of a melding of different types of partners that we're going to definitely need to bring into the fold as well.
Sure. And Heather, coming to you, like again, taking the words from Roisin, is about the partner evaluation. But the other important aspect is the success metrics. In today's world, everyone is measured on the business outcome. So what are the different metrics that helps you to measure the success of the partnerships? And are there any some non-traditional metrics that you're looking at to measure that?
I thought Roisin had some great non-traditional ones, like the customer satisfaction.
Score.
Yeah, that was great. Not to sound overly trite, but we're looking at, you know, the product usage as a consumption business, and it's you know, pipeline, these kinds of things, but also how does that weigh into you know, how a partner is advancing consumption, the number of use cases that we're working on with that partner. I think, you know, there's the concept of we talked about co-sell earlier. Are we visibly co-selling as often as we can be with our customers, and really diving deeper into the depths of the relationship that we can then measure? I mean, the one thing I will say is Databricks definitely drinks our own champagne, and we have dashboards on everything that you could possibly imagine. And so we'll dive not just into how much the consumption is, but on what products, and are these strategic, and then start to apply weightings and start to get to a bit more of you know, a value score that is a bit more holistic, but weighted to the metrics that matter to us at a given point in what it is we're trying to achieve. What I'm saying there is that this year we may be very focused on one thing, but next year it may be totally different. And so we're going to change the weightings, but then give transparency into this is what we're trying to achieve. We're fairly transparent in terms of these are the goals we're achieving, we're going after with partners. Come along with us for the ride. Challenge us if you think they're not the right ones. But really getting deeper and deeper and deeper into that. Maybe another fun one that we're toying around with as we start to build a larger and larger conference and in-person ecosystem, particularly relevant in the post-COVID world, is just, you know, how partners are engaging as we go around the world, talking about what we're doing, and that funneling back into how we show up with these partners.
Interesting. So Ksenia, coming to you, and you touched upon the Coca-Cola example, and in today's world, like customer success is becoming the new norm. And we see that leveraging the predictive insights from the interconnected partner ecosystem, organizations can anticipate the demands, and also it helps in the co-innovation. So if I look at that, what are the future-ready analytics within these ecosystems that help you deliver the best of the best customer success?
Everyone wants to see in the future, right? And we feel that with OpenAI's reasoning models, we're getting the closest to this than we have ever been. And internally, we're obviously dogfooding our own technology and using it massively in partnerships. So just by the show of hands, how many people have used ChatGPT? But how many of you do you guys think that this is transformative to the work that you personally do every day? You can see the results. So, and we haven't even released O1, the first reasoning model, yet fully in the market. And so the way, coming back to specifically to answering your question, the new reasoning models can analyze massive amounts of data and take time thinking and come back with a detailed analysis and results. One example, how our GSI partners, leading GSI partners using it is to help finance planning and operations and budgeting cycles to the CFOs. We personally, in the partnership organization, use it to analyze that, the budgets and return on investments and how do we scale and where, which geographies, how many people do we need there. But also, what are the new partnerships that we need to kick off? And those are the combinations of what we know, like sector, solution, geo, but also what we don't know. Like we don't know a lot of ways, speakers were talking before me, what kind of partners we're going to need with the new Gen AI applications. So there's a lot of kind of philosophical discussions with those reasoning models, and we feel that this will give the leg up once you start using and applying this effectively in your strategies.
Rajat, you want to add something to that?
Yeah, so I think that's...
Mic on. Okay.
Got it this time. I think the customer experience portion for us is still very siloed internally within the organization. It seems like the partner team looks at customer experience one way, and the customer success team looks at the other way, and there is still a gap. And that's the vision that we're trying to solve for right now, to get leading indicators from both the customer and the partner to say, are they blending together? And put some predictive analysis around that to say, how can we be super focused around the customer? And that came out in our last partner advisory board that I ran around, we've got some great stories around people, like efficiencies around driving analysis around data with AI, and how you can reduce operational efficiencies and save lives in the hospital system. Like, how do you actually look at, in Pfizer, how do you create new drugs? But unless you can get both parts of an organization like us talking together with these leading indicators coming through, you're actually failing. So it's the human element, I think it's a vision for us that we need to kind of bring that change to drive this forward in terms of pure partnerships.
Any examples which shows the outcome or the ROI in this kind of?
Yeah, so there's one example around this tire company that was actually brought to us by a partner, and it was about creating a digital twin. A digital twin taking 12 different things around how do you milk a different tire, and it was powered by Alation, right, and stitched together by a partner. And then customer success was looking at it in one angle to say, hey, here's the data that I'm getting, but where is the voice of the partner? And that was missing. with the partner advisory board, it came to a full circle to say, hey, this is something we can do, this is something replicable, and that we can take it out to the market. So I think just keeping that human element in mind as we do all the generative AI stuff is like super important, and bringing leadership into that. Like at the end of the day, AI leadership means AI governance, correct? And for AI governance, you do need data governance and data cataloging. So that's my pitch.
Sure. There's a follow-up question on that. In the world of partnership, I think so everyone touched upon co-innovation. Also, we touched upon the co-sell, which drive the impact. Are there any something which is going to be the future that you look at? Or you want to add, Ksenia?
So we do feel that partnerships will deliver the value to the customers. And so part of the way that we're thinking about go-to-market is how do you use prediction? You mentioned predictive for partnerships before. How do you predict how to move the go-to-market effectively, which partners to choose, which solution to focus, which regulatory environment and the regulations to bring in, how to blend it all together and be the first in the market to move there? I think the kind of theory and philosophy is great, and playing with the models is wonderful. Mathematics, software engineers, customer support are huge applications, but once you can pull it together and deploy it with the customers to a high level of satisfaction and expansion and usage and value that it brings, that's, I think, the 2025 plan.
Interesting.
Yeah, I mean, sure. Could we talk about co-pilots? Just, I mean, that's the other. I don't know where Stephen is now, but that has been actually quite helpful for us internally, and then gaining access to our knowledge base for what's available for partnerships. As our partnerships program has expanded significantly, we're documenting what all the partners are actually doing, what their value propositions are, and that's become much more accessible via some sales enablement co-pilots that we have. And we're trying to figure out as many ways as possible to share, the way we are building our business with our partners as well through co-pilots.
Co-pilots, interesting. And Roisin, if I come to you, and we look at the AI, in what way the AI is delivering the value to the customers through the partnership, like how the partners are leveraging the AI models, as everyone touched upon that. How do you think about that, and whether the partners are excited about that and they see the ROI coming out of that as well?
Yeah, I mean, I think partners are excited and also nervous and, a little tentative as well. And partners are going to follow the customer use cases, right? They're not going to go build things that won't drive customer outcomes or that customers won't be happy with, because that's not a good model. They're just not going to do that. So where I see, and I'll kind of break it down maybe by partner type, but for example, we have a large focus at SAP on moving our install-based customers that are on-prem over to cloud, a cloud ERP, and making sure that is kind of up and running, and they can take the advantage of the latest innovations that we are putting in cloud ERP. So one of the big ones from an SI point of view is the migration from on-prem or a different cloud instance over to a full cloud ERP, moving all of your mission critical business processes over to be cloud oriented. And if partners could think about, SIs for example, could think about like AI capabilities that would help automate some of those workflows or some of those business processes as you go along that migration path, I think that could be super helpful. Another one would be, we have partners on the ISV side that kind of map into white spaces for us at SAP. So, as they kind of develop in their solutions and their roadmaps, how can they bring in AI into their products that also kind of sit with ours and extend our footprint as well? And then, resellers, how can they kind of take advantage of AI capabilities to recognize and develop and to pitch new use cases to customers that are kind of based on and driven by business outcomes and customer need?
Got it. And it's an open question to any one of you. And it's about the verticalization. I know most of the companies over here are focused mostly on the horizontal, but when you look at the verticalization story, how you think of the verticalization with the partnerships? Is it easy to solve for that, or is it a challenge that how we can solve for specific business use case in the customer angle with the partnerships?
So I could start and then I'll pass it on. I think it starts with, like, do you have an understanding of the industry domain? Like, what are the problems out there? What are the challenges? What are the solutions? Do you have the data to support that as well? And can you provide that in a trusted manner to the partners? And then can you build those trusted models on top of that to package it and say, hey, let's take it repeatably to the customers? I think that's one way to look at it and drive efficiencies around that at speed. We've attempted at it. We haven't attempted at scale. We're still experimenting around that. And we're doing this with utility customers because we've seen it. A lot of utility customers, like, they've traditionally looked at poles and wires. And now we're looking at, hey, when we look at a network of electricity flowing, like, how do you manage load on the network itself? And, like, you've got EVs coming in, you've got input and output of different things coming through the network, which you've got different solar panels coming in. The output of that is into EV vehicles. Like, how do you manage networks, and what formulas can we create, and models can we create, and data can we provide and package to end users? And that could go from, like, larger customers like Avista to smaller, like, community providers of energy as well, which are more like co-ops. So we're experimenting there. We're seeing early signs of success.
Great.
I'll just say that verticalization is pretty core to the way we're getting very specific with a lot of the use cases and also with partners. You know, I'll speak a little bit on the co-sell side of things. If we're working with a newer partner of ours, we really want to see a crawl, walk, run kind of experience, because we want to build that trust. We want to know that a partner is going to be doing very well in a co-sell manner. So we want to pick the strength, you know, and our customers are highly verticalized in what they're wanting. They want somebody who can speak their language specifically, speak to their specific kinds of personas. And, you know, a data informaticist is very different than a data scientist, is very different than a data engineer, you know, depending on which vertical that you're working in. And they have almost different languages in some respects. So it's pretty core to be able to co-sell well with our partners, to be able to go deep. You know, admittedly, there are some horizontal partnership solutions like a security, but even that still has its own language and, you know, has a bit more of a very specific way of approaching use cases. So we really feel that that's super important to get right. And then once you get it right in one vertical and a partner wants to go to another, then we go, you know, and replicate that kind of success pattern. But really being able to partner well starts with speaking a customer's language well, and that's typically verticalized.
Interesting. Ksenia or Roisin, you want to add something?
Red flag?
Yeah, I'm not looking there.
I will add that OpenAI is fiercely about building AGI, and we look only at verticalization through partners. And that's why our partner program is so strong, is that we are obsessed with one thing and we help others and bring them along the way to innovate around the vertical solutions that have not even been created yet.
Great. You want to add something?
Sure. I think it's just really adding on to all of that. It's really the personalization, right? It gets down to that level. So, and verticalization is part of that personalization that AI can bring to the table for sure.
Awesome. Great. This is what we have to get an understanding on the future of intelligent partnership. And definitely there's some learnings. And thank you so much for your time today and the insights that you were able to bring. Thank you. Thank you so much.